We're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects, state advocacy. Um, so I am actually going to get started. I know this is kind of a funky time of day. We're recording these trainings and we have a series of them, which I'm going to talk about today that you can join live, and I hope many of you will. But if the time isn't good, or if you'd rather just listen to them later and learn later, you'll be able to do that too. So I'm excited to get started. Feel free to communicate in the chat. I'll be asking you some questions, putting you on the spot. Let's have fun with each other. This is all, it's important, but we all are in the same boat. We've got a lot of work to do. You do not have to be, I've said this to you guys before, a fancy lawyer or a lobbyist. In fact, sometimes I think it's almost better if you're not. So if some of you have experiences that you want to share that you think are relevant, please do. But just know that you're being recorded. So we're going to get started. All right. This is not medical or legal advice, okay? You guys know that, but just to confirm that. Okay, and question of the week. If you're driving, don't Google this. But if you're sitting at your desk, or if you want to look this up later, your question of the week is, and many of you probably don't know this, I don't know this off the top of my head for my state, but you need to know it. What is the bill filing deadline for your state? Like in every state, there's a deadline where bills have to be filed. What is it in yours? And you can, if you get bored during this training, you can start Googling and see if you can figure it out. Some of you may know already where to go to look that up, but I will say just typing it into your search engine kind of can get you started. But that is an important piece of information that I want you to be thinking about right away. And then if you get it, put it in the chat, or we'll talk about it at the next training too. But I want it to be top of mind. We're on a deadline. I also want to remind you guys about who we are at Profound Autism Alliance. We started Profound Autism Alliance I think it's been almost 3 years ago now, and there has been so much going on over the last 3 years. We're really committed to the recognition of the unique challenges of the part of the autism spectrum that requires lifetime 24/7 care. So there's all sorts of people on the spectrum with different support needs, different strengths and weaknesses. But we're really focusing on the part of the population that needs lifetime 24/7 care. And that group in and of itself can be different too. Like within it, there's males and females and people from different socioeconomic backgrounds. It's diverse in its own right, but we really want to focus on improving their health and just their connection to the world around them. Right now, this part of the population is struggling mightily, and we believe we can change that. And I'm going to talk to you about some ways we already have and use those examples as a springboard to really important state advocacy for this coming year. We function with the values of compassion, clarity, and focusing on progress. We don't want to fight with people. I think it's a waste. I really do. I think we should take the stones that we throw at one another and build with those stones. We want to build. We want to move forward with compassion for everyone in our community. That doesn't mean we have to agree with them. That doesn't mean we have to do everything everybody else says, but just have compassion. We seek clarity for this group to understand their needs, get them included in research. I think clear is kind, and so we're focusing on clarity for them. There's a lot of gray, there's a lot of confusion. We want to change that. We're committed to progress, and we're already making some. We have a lot more to go, but I'm very excited about the progress that we've already made. And I'm glad you guys are joining in to learn about state advocacy. Some of you, as I said before, probably already know a lot. It's a refresher, but it's always good to think about what needs to be done in your state and how to do it. About me, life is a game of chess, and I don't know how to play chess. That pretty much just sums it up. I love this sign. That's who I am. I started Profound Autism Alliance just a few years ago, just in response to my own son, Jack, and the struggles that I was witnessing with him, my experience with providers and really not being able to serve people like him because they didn't know how or they weren't motivated to, and then learning that research really was not including people like him. So felt like no solutions were really being created and there weren't solutions in place. So I thought, okay, let's figure out what we can do. Before that, I spent many, many years in state advocacy. If you look around right now, I'm in my PAA World Headquarters, is what I call it, and you'll see on the walls, we'll do a tour sometime, but all the pictures are from state capitals where I've worked. I worked with a team of 3 people at Autism Speaks to pass autism insurance reform laws in all 50 states. So I've worked in red states, blue states, big states, small states, all of them. So I don't want to say I've seen it all when it comes to state advocacy, but I've seen a lot. And so my goal is to create other advocates who can work effectively, practically, and get things done. That's what we want to do. And I don't know why I included this slide, but I think it's an important one to remember as we work in advocacy. Kinky Friedman is a Texan. I am too. I'm originally from Texas. And so I think in all of our conversations with each other and with legislators, we need to remember courtesy is owed, respect is earned, love is given. I think you can give love when you choose to, but anyway. All right. And I say all that just, I'm trying to preface a lot of my conversations these days with those words because I'm seeing so much division and toxicity online. Life is so much bigger than what happens online. And I think we just need to keep that in mind. And I think we'll all get a lot further if we can just choose kindness with one another. The picture that I have here is a picture of a group of researchers that were presenting about profound autism and how to include people with profound autism at last year's International Society of Autism Research. And they had a SIG and it had, standing room only in the SIG. It was very exciting. But there was a subgroup in that group that was filling the room that was really worrying about the terminology profound autism and it being stigmatizing. Some of those people were autistic self-advocates who were worried and who felt really concerned. So there were differences in that room, but rather than, have a shouting match or talk about who's more important than the other or who suffers more or whatever, we didn't do that. We just talked about how we could work together. And it really was just a positive day. So we can be kind, we can engage, we don't always have to agree. And so I hope you'll keep that in mind as we work with each other and as if you work in your state with other disability groups, with legislators. Human beings are complicated. Kindness never hurts. All right. This handsome young man right here is RJ. Denise Lombardi is here, and this is her son. I love that picture of him. Love his sweatshirt. And this I don't have to tell you, but I will anyway. We're really experiencing unprecedented times. I've been in the autism world for 20 years, and I bet there's some people here who've been in even longer than that. But right now, the changes that are taking place on the federal and state levels are going to directly affect our loved ones with profound autism and those who care for them, their family members, their siblings, circles of support, providers. Every time I turn on the news or open up social media, I feel like I'm seeing another thing about cuts or layoffs or fear, but we can turn our fear into action and really hold the line, change things, make a difference. Specifically, just a couple of examples of things that we really need to think about on the state level because of what's happening federally right now, are potential cuts on the state level to Medicaid. So for the most part, they haven't happened yet. The federal government, they passed the OBBB, the big beautiful bill, or some people call it the big ugly bill, depending on your politics. I won't take a side. So that put in place a lot of pressure on the states with their Medicaid budgets. So now the states in these upcoming 2026 legislative sessions are really going to be looking at Medicaid. And when you think about Medicaid, you may not see the word Medicaid in the benefits that you get where they're included, but usually services that you get through Department of Developmental Services, some school services, like healthcare, those can all include Medicaid dollars when it involves people with profound autism. So that's definitely something that, is on our radar. And then there are other setbacks too on the state level because of just restructuring at the federal agencies. So you've been hearing about layoffs with, the Department of Education, or there's layoffs at Health and Human Services, and that affects the research. So there's just a lot going on right now. So again, as much as you can in your station in life right now, whatever's going on, we all need to do just what we're able to do to hold the line and make sure our loved ones are protected and people begin to understand profound autism and our needs. Hope is not a strategy. I think some of you have heard me say this before, and this is so true in my life. Nobody's more full of false hope than a mom who places items on the stairs for her family members to carry up. Anybody got a laundry basket? I mean, I don't know. No one ever takes their laundry upstairs. I've been trying for years. Okay. So let's talk about this introductory meeting, and we'll talk a little bit more about subsequent meetings. But I really like to learn from our successes. Have we had failures? Yes. Have we got everything figured out? No. But I really want to look at the things we've done so far, how we did them, and then take that and apply it to our state strategies as much as is feasible because it works. Um, so our consistent positive advocacy on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., this is just an example, has really made a difference. Now, has it fixed all the problems of the profound autism community? Absolutely not. Like, we are climbing Mount Everest, and I feel like we're like 2 steps up, but we're there and we're climbing up the mountain. And so what have we been able to do over the last 2 years? We've been going to Washington on Wednesdays for the last 2 years. We've had so many of you come to the Hill and meet with legislators, which has been really cool. Many of you know I took my son Jack a couple of weeks ago to the Hill, and we did 4 office visits, and it was great. He is nonverbal, but his presence in those meetings was just amazing, and I'm glad we were able to do that trip. For me, it's like an hour flight. We took our time. Like, he aged out of his school program and doesn't have services right now, so his schedule is open and I was able to work it out. So I'm grateful, that I was able to take him. So these people being there in person though, and me taking Jack in person though, that's not always feasible. In fact, I'd say most of the time it's not. And it's not necessary. It's all part of this big recipe that's a recipe for success. Um, we have had literally thousands of you send emails to your legislators through our action alert system, Voter Voice. And it works. It really has worked. And we've also created communications that we've shared, one pagers that people have shared on social media, and in Zoom meetings and things like that with legislators and decision makers. And it worked. How did it work, you ask? I know you're on the edge of your seat. So in 2024, as an example, this was the first year Profound Autism Alliance was really going to the Hill and talking to legislators in DC. And we got language in federal law, which I can't believe, honestly. The first year we were there, we actually got language in that we were advocating for. And you guys remember, it's all about including people all across the spectrum in Autism Cares, which funds all the research. So we're like, okay, we want to be included in research. This is the one thing we're kind of working on right now as we get started advocating in Washington, D.C. So we got language in the final version that said the research has to reflect the entire population of the autism spectrum disorder, including the full range of cognitive, communicative, behavioral, and adaptive functioning. And this may seem simple to you, like it's just a sentence, but literally, we flew to Washington on Wednesdays. We walked thousands and thousands of steps. We talked to staff. We took information to them. That 1-pager handout that I was just showing you, this little 1-pager thing here, So they would learn about profound autism, what it is. I will tell you, 90% of them did not know what profound autism was. So we explained to them that it's people that are autistic who need lifetime 24/7 care. So we educated and we succeeded. We got language in, and that bill was signed at the end of 2024. So it was just an initial success that was super exciting. And that bill is good for 5 years. So big progress in the beginning. And even now, as I go back to the Hill, people tell me, they're like, you guys made the difference. You're the reason that language was in there. And to hear that from the staff and the legislators in Washington is so cool. And so, again, in 2025, we've continued that presence. Denise has been going to a lot of the Hill Days with me. Our siblings are still going. We've had other people go too, but we're present. And so, we've been asking to make sure that we're included in appropriations, which they're all fighting about right now. But we got language in appropriations, and it's even stronger language than we got in Autism Cares. And in the appropriations language in the Senate, they talk about specifically for research and spending at the NIH, they have to include the entire population of individuals with ASD, including those with profound autism. And I think that's the first time profound autism has actually been included in federal language like that. So again, just a few words, but those words would not be there had we not been focusing on goals, coordinating communication, being present, positive, collaborative, all those things. They worked. And so that happened on the federal level. Um, and that same approach, I will tell you, works on the state level. When I was working in state advocacy for all those years, trying to get insurance reform passed in all 50 states, I remember I worked at Autism Speaks, and our federal team, we had a team of people working in DC all the time. And then we had our state team, which was me, Lori Unum, and Mike Wasmer, dividing up all 50 states and just going out there year after year and trying to get laws passed. And in some states, it literally took 10 years to get a law passed. Like we had to go back year after year after year after year. And they finally realized, hey, you're not ever going to go away. And we were able to succeed. Um, it was a lot of work, but it really did change the landscape of insurance coverage for people with autism on the federal, and then eventually kind of on the state level, excuse me, and then eventually on the federal level. So change happened. But I remember our federal team kind of saying, yeah, that's great, but you know what we do is so much harder because it's on the federal level. And Lori Unum, who was my boss at Autism Speaks, who worked on the state advocacy with me, I remember her telling me more than once, as an aside, like, she's like, it's really not hard around the federal level. On the federal level, you have an executive branch, right? The president, you've got the House of Representatives, and you've got the Senate, right? And they have a certain number of people there that you have to talk to, and they make the decisions, and that's how it is. How does it happen in the States? The same. Like I'm here right now in Massachusetts. I live in Boston now, and we have our House of Representatives. Our executive is our governor, and we have a Senate. Three branches, representatives. You go talk to them, you send them messages, you make sure they understand your story. It really is the same thing. And Lori told me that. She's like, it's the same. It really is. It's just the US Capitol is very much just like a state capital. And now that I've been doing federal advocacy for the last few years, I completely agree. Of course, Lori was right. She knew what she was talking about. I've gotten to know the staff in DC. They send me emails and ask me questions. They check in on Jack, my son. Like we have built relationships, and they check in with us on what we want, what's important to us. So we've established ourselves federally. The recipe has worked so far. We've gotten language in. So I just say all that to you to say, you can do this. Like some of you already know you can do this. You've done it before. But for those of you who are thinking like, God, I don't have time for this. I don't know how to do this. You can, like, and I'm going to walk through over the coming weeks just the tools and things you need to learn. You don't have to learn all of them. You can focus on the things that interest you if you want to. And then we'll bring everyone together from your state to work towards a goal and changing things for the better for people with profound autism. The key is consistent positive advocacy in your state. I was in a meeting yesterday, actually, for a state, which I will not name. And in that state, it was a coalition that's being created. And in the meeting, everybody was just talking about what they disagreed with. That's all the meeting was. It was terrible. And I finally raised my hand. I wasn't leading the meeting. And I just said, when are we going to talk about our mission and like actually what it is we're trying to do instead of just arguing about things? Um, we've got work to do. So let's be positive. Let's move forward. Of course, we're going to have differences. We can work through those. 10% venting, 90% doing. That's the rule. All right. So let's talk about how we've kind of started to do that already at Profound Autism Alliance in the States, and many of you have been involved with this. So a tiny piece of just victory that I've, looked at today was I went into Google and I was like, hey, which states recognize profound autism? And the AI thing came back and said several states recognize profound autism. So before we started doing state advocacy, do you know how many states recognize profound autism? None, zero until last year. So it talks about the states that recognize profound autism, and it talks about how this recognition aims to increase public and policymaker understanding of profound autism, which we can't get them to do things if they don't understand us. And I love this part too. It says the recognition is largely due to advocacy efforts by organizations like the Profound Autism Alliance. So yeah. So this is just one little thing that we've been able to do. Having Profound Autism Day last year, which was simply people asking their state legislator to file a resolution to recognize Profound Autism Day in their state. And we got that done in 15 states the first year. So West Virginia, New Hampshire, Georgia, Texas, New Jersey, Connecticut, Arizona, Washington. I won't read all these, but big high five to the states that just took the time to get a resolution passed. It was good practice in how to reach out to your legislator, give them bill language that we gave you, get the bill filed on time, and then get this proclamation read on the House floor. That was all it was. It was a really good practice for advocacy, and it got the term profound autism in statute in 15 states. There is, these are folks from Connecticut with their beautiful resolution. And then I love this one. Some of you have seen this before. This is a self-advocate in Michigan, and she was down on the floor of the Michigan legislature when they were reading the proclamation, which I think was really cool. So that presence matters. And so we're making ourselves known in the states, and it works. Okay, so we have more to cover today, but I just wanted to stop and tell you that we're going to definitely once again in 2026 file those resolutions for Profound Autism Day. I would love to see all 50 states recognizing it and then have a national Profound Autism Day that's recognized in DC. So that's something every state, I'll be reaching out to you guys, giving you language and just telling you like, hey, ask your state legislators to file this bill and let's make that happen. It's simple, and it just puts us on the map, which is good. But there are other things that are more important than that of course we're going to be talking about and working on. We really want to think about your state priorities. If you're working on too many things, you won't get anything done. Getting legislation passed is super hard. And if you're trying to do 10 things, then what always happens is the legislators that you're asking to do things will pick off your list the absolute easiest thing to do. Which, so they'll be like, oh, let's have Profound Autism Day. And then all this other stuff we'll get to later. So you want to keep your list short, just like one or two things. So we're going to talk about that on October 29th. Again, all these will be recorded. So if you can't be there that day, don't worry about it. We're going to talk about what state priorities should be this year. And I'm thinking like Medicaid's probably a big one. Like there's other things you guys might want to talk about, like safety, things like that. So October 29th, we're going to be talking about that. Ooh, November 5th, we're going to be talking about drafting bill language and finding bill sponsors. Who's scared? Anybody? Don't worry, we can do it. December 3rd, grassroots engagement. You can't really do this without some grassroots engagement. You got to get people contacting their legislators. You need to collaborate as much as you can. And we've got some really great tools to help you do that easily. You also have to keep track of things. I know last year in Connecticut, I don't know if we have Connecticut folks here, but they had filed a bill around recognition of the profound autism term and safety and things like that. And the sausage was made, the bill was changed, and they didn't really know until after the committee had already voted on it and it was done. So we have bill tracking software that you all can have access to for your state. And it just sends you an alert every day so you know what's going on and if your bill has been touched or if things are happening with it, if there's a hearing coming up or something like that. So it's nerdy, but guys, it is really important. So we'll be talking about that on December 10th. And then January 7th, we're going to talk about effective communication strategies and tools with legislators, with social media, with bullies online, with people you don't agree with. And we're going to talk about the tools we have for that too, because that's really important. So I say that about every topic, but I mean it. Every topic's important. If you cannot make all of these in person, please don't worry. As I said, we'll record them. And for those of you who registered for this, we'll send it to you. So just make sure you register. I'll be sending out the links and they're also posted on our website. Okay. All right, so let's talk for just a minute about setting priorities, but I'm going to take a breath. Who knew or who found out when their filing deadline was for their state, their bill filing? Do we have anyone? Okay, who wants to? Oh, look at all this. Okay, let's see. Allie do. So November 21st, that's like coming up. Okay. Minnesota's April. Wow, that's later.
Says that
Oh,
it's 60th day, so it is around March 15.
okay. And Allie is wearing her James Avery ring, which I'm very jealous of. Oh, look at all these Texans. Yeah, I went from Austin to Boston. You're David, you're in North Carolina now. Okay. I love it. Okay, and then Kentucky, the Senate March 2nd, House March 4th. Thank you, Anne. Um, okay. Oh yeah, and then I love that idea, Rudy. An autism training for legislators. Great idea. That's a great idea.
That's right. I do autism trainings for law enforcement as well. I'm working on getting a another security company to do the training. As of right now, it hasn't happened yet, but hopefully by next month they'll get back to me soon.
Great. I love that. Fantastic. Okay, so I think you'll see, just for those of you who are able to look it up, like a lot of state bill filing deadlines are like next month. So um, we'll be sending around action alerts about filing the Profound Autism Day bills, so we get those done in time. But if you think you might have a bill that you want to file, but you're not sure like what the language is going to be yet, it needs some work, you need to be able to have some meetings. What you can do is reach out to your own state legislator, and I can show you how to look them up, and ask them to file a placeholder bill for you, and then you can put language in later. You can do that in most states, but don't miss the deadline, because if you miss the deadline, you won't be able to file a bill this year if you think you're going to file a bill. Some of you might not file a bill. Some of you are just going to be working with the broader community on trying to protect Medicaid cuts. And so that you don't necessarily have to file a bill for that. But for those of you who think you might be wanting to file a bill, just make sure you find out as soon as possible what your bill filing deadline is. And if you feel confused, you can email me. I'm happy to help you with any of that. Okay, so let's talk about how do you figure out what to work on? I said earlier, like if you try to work on too many things, you won't get anything done. There are so many bills that state legislatures and Congress considers. Like this is just an example. So in the 118th Congress, the last Congress, there was a total of 18,000 bills and 137 were enacted. So you had some resolutions too, 718. Only about 700 even got a vote. So it's very hard to get over the finish line. So keep that in mind. The other thing to keep in mind too, I was talking to someone the other day and they were saying, oh, this isn't a good year to file a bill like that because it just won't pass this year. That's not the way to think about priorities. Usually bills take multiple years to get passed. Very, very, very few get passed in 1 year. So if you have a bill that you're thinking about and you're like, oh gosh, this bill is too hard to get passed, you might just need to file it and then let it go through the process, learn what the legislators are going to be saying about it so that you can respond to it in the subsequent year. But I've had many states where I've worked 5 years, even 10 to get bills passed. The secret is to just keep going and to have a very small list of things that you're working on because it's too much. You can't get it done if you've got like 5 bills that you're working on. So focus, focus, focus. The passage rate of bills in states kind of varies, but you can see so many states under 20% of the bills that are filed are passed in any given session. So there's a few that it's 40, but it's just hard. It's hard. It takes perseverance, but here in the profound autism community, we are not quitters. We stay the course. So I mentioned this before, I'll say it again. At PAA, we really only want to focus on one legislative priority in your state. Maybe two, but I would say really one. And that would be in addition to just the resolution for Profound Autism Day that you can do on the side, like that doesn't have to be your priority. And then also if you're collaborating with other groups on things like rates, wait list, protecting Medicaid, then if you want to do that and also have a priority bill yourself, that's fine too. But just focus, focus, focus. If we try to do too much all at once, it's just not going to work. It won't, I promise. All right. So I've done all the talking. We're almost through, but I want to hear from you guys. Feel free to unmute yourself and just share what state you're from and like what's the one thing that you think Profound Autism Alliance should work on in your state? What priority? And if you don't know, that's fine too. You don't have to say anything. But what are you thinking? I know we have some non-shy people in this group, and if you're shy, you don't have to talk. Don't worry. You can put it in the chat. Okay.
Hi,
Any,
I'm Jillian from New York, and I think one of the legislative priorities should be cameras in the
yeah.
school.
So like safety, that kind of falls under
Yes,
safety, like, yeah. Okay. Denise has her hand up because she's so polite. Denise, what are you thinking?
I was also going to talk about cameras and then housing issues for
Mhm.
and wait list. So I'm not sure which direction to go in.
Yeah.
And actually, when I was at NISABA, cameras came up with a provider, and the
Mhm.
provider would like to have cameras as well,
Oh,
but
wow.
they're being you're not allowed to, according to OPWDD in New York
Yeah.
State.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a big deal, nationwide. Who else has their hand up? I can't tell. Oh, Laveda.
And
Laveda, what are you thinking in Virginia? Oh no,
hello, everybody.
I can hear you a little bit.
Can you
Oh, you're cutting
Oh,
in.
let me
here.
turn it up. I'm on. Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. So in Virginia, the Virginia Autism Project is a part of, a larger group called the whatever, Virginia Autism Alliance, blah, blah, blah. We're like a coalition of
Mhm.
autism advocacy organizations. And I
Yeah.
think our two priorities this year are going to be getting funding for an autism coalition, which we tried really hard last year to do. And I think that would be along those lines of being able to recognize the needs of people with profound autism, because right now it's falling under the General Disability Commission.
Mm,
And
yeah.
we need to have that separate
Yeah.
under the Disability Commission. And we really want that affirmative action bill signed by a governor that has been passed a couple of times and
Oh,
vetoed a couple
yeah.
of times
So, Laveda, let me ask you
to
this.
change the law.
Yeah, so
Yes.
that's the coalition. But what about like just us? Like if we're working on something ourselves that's outside of the coalition,
Oh,
because we're
I
Profound Autism
really,
is part of the coalition. And we'll be helping with that. But like if we have something
oh,
ourselves,
I really, I, I would really think the affirmative action bill, definitely.
okay. That's Profound Autism focused.
I would think so, because a lot of our kiddos do have, run-ins with law enforcement, first responders, things like that, and interactions that can be misconstrued and then result in charges that could be filed against them and a
Okay.
criminal record.
Okay.
Mhm.
Right. Allie, what do you have to say about your state? Are you Florida, Allie?
Yeah, Florida. So hi everyone. So glad to be here to join you. So I would like to work on decreasing the timeline to credentialing for both BCBAs, BCABAs, and RBTs. So in some states or in Florida, if you're serving Medicaid, you do need to be credentialed and paneled with the main Medicaid as well as the MCOs that just got introduced. And what we're finding is that the panels are just closed, yet we don't have an adequate provider network, and kids are on waiting lists. I shouldn't say kids, people are on waiting lists, and they desperately need our help. And it's just that red tape that they can't get through. And credentialing is taking 6 to 9 months, which to me just seems crazy. So I think that that is important, and probably other states as well would like to work on that. But in Florida, we're really facing a crisis with that, and people aren't getting the help that they need.
Yeah, I mean, if you need lifetime 24/7 care, like you can't wait for 7. Well, I mean, we do have to, like, literally Jack has no services right now. So what am I talking about? So yeah, that's important. Anne, what are you thinking? Kentucky, right? Am I right?
Yes, Kentucky.
Yes, ma'am. Are you doing cameras
Okay.
again, you think, or something else?
We are focusing on two safety issues. One is cameras,
Good.
and we are going to include nursing homes this
Okay.
year and
Okay.
all long-term care facilities.
Interesting.
And we've already approached the VFW and other veterans groups because they actually have a very high rate of abuse.
Oh, that's
And they are all in, is their words, quote, we're all in. And I think they're a powerful lobby all nationwide, frankly.
love that.
I,
I love that.
I would encourage anyone to contact them, and they do get involved in legislative issues.
Okay.
So I'm
Well,
hoping that works out.
yeah,
Anyway,
I
we're
love
working on that, and we're also doing, was it Alveda? Was that your name?
that.
You called it affirmative action. We call it CIT training. And we're getting a good response already from legislators about getting it statewide so we don't have to do it city by city, which we're having success with. But
Nice.
the city commissioners tell us it would actually be easier if they had state legislation because
Mm-hmm.
they're having to write their own policy.
Mm-hmm.
So we're
Very,
doing those two things.
that's You're,
And we're scared to death.
oh, it's okay. We're all scared to death.
Yeah.
I think I still get scared to death. Okay. Pam are you still in Massachusetts, Pam?
Yes, I am.
Or what are you thinking?
So many things.
I
But
know.
to, but to start, I really there's agencies in place that are supposed to protect our adults. We go from entitlement to nothing once you're an adult. Um, so I'd like to see some kind of, I don't even know how to even word it, but something in place to protect our individuals on many levels and oversight for agencies, as well as if you have an individual that's nonverbal and they go into a group home, every person in that group home should be trained in AAC or whatever communication method that person uses. There's just so many missing links when you go to adult services. So I'd
Yeah,
like to see stuff created around that.
got it. Very good. Definitely relevant to our population. Okay, Lori from Oregon. What are y'all thinking?
Hi, sorry I have to have my video off today. There's so many things, but I think in our state, it's got to address the Medicaid cuts. Letters just went out. The governor is challenging the Department of Human Services to make some drastic cuts. Layoffs are going to be happening soon in our state. All of this greatly people with profound autism. The other issue, besides the cuts, is making sure that people with profound autism get the services they need. And also that we want to establish ABA providers as part of the provider panel for developmental disabilities. Right now we have ABA providers included in Medicaid, but that doesn't transfer into the waivered services. So
Right.
we're working on that issue.
Autism, autism.
Right.
So that would be our
Someone-
main focus.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think that's an issue in many other states too, Lori. Okay, we've got two hands up. Let's see. Rudy, what did you want to share with us?
Just wanted to share. I would say that like everybody needs to work on advocating more for people with disabilities. Like I myself, have autism since I was little and grown up. I've been bullied a lot, even though I'm from California. Here in California, I think people are pretty friendly, but however, some people are not because they're either don't have awareness, but I would say the main focus should be de-escalation tactics because sometimes I've known a few people that I go to hang out with sometimes, and we have public and we have a lot of good time, but some people just have a little bit of an agitation about that, and that's where escalation pops in. I know somebody that works at one of the fast food places, and that happened at his work. And then people escalated so quickly. And I had to advocate for another individual that was being harassed by somebody they don't even know. So I would say escalation is the number one issue here in California, and it should be addressed immediately.
Thank you, Rudy.
And bullying as well.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I think we've all heard some themes. Addison, did you have something you wanted to add to? I don't want to skip anybody.
I'm from Minnesota and I do a lot of policy work in a couple different disability areas. So I don't have anything like specific right now for profound autism, but I do think like we have a lot of changes coming to our waiver system, a lot of changes coming to our EIDBI, which is our ABA program. And so making sure that the kids with the individuals with profound autism, as my daughter's almost an adult, are included and that they're not the ones that are suffering the most from all of the cuts. Slow down people getting enrolled into the programs.
Thank you. Okay, we have, and I don't want to miss anybody.
Hi, I'm Micah. If you guys can hear me.
Hey, Micah.
I'm Micah from Colorado Springs. And right now we just we're starting the chapter for Profound Autism Alliance. So I think I mean there's so many issues. I'm an RBT, so I'm a technician. So I work with kids and adults. But I hear the issues all the time from the parents, the caregivers. But I think like our biggest issue is well, just the insurance being able to accept the like they're not accepting a lot of when they need it, when they clearly need it. And I think like even like just having like a forum or like having like like the parents on stage or somewhere and being able to just convey what they're struggling with, because it's all tangled up. I don't know like why we've gotten so many like cuts and pushback and red tape. So there's a lot, and right now I think we're just starting. So right now we're just getting like the leadership together.
That's awesome, Mike. I'm so glad. It's awesome. And you're so right. Like so many providers don't serve people with profound autism because they can't get insurance to cover them long term. So
Yeah.
something that we need to enforce protections that are in place, and we need to make sure that people understand profound autism. Okay. Let's see, Denise, and Jamie too, whoever wants to go first. Go ahead, Denise, and then Jamie, I want to make sure you get your turn too.
I just want to make sure that David Dross has a chance to speak. He was asking how did he raise his hand? And I don't think
Gotcha. David.
David,
Okay.
would you like to say something?
Sure. Can everyone hear me okay?
Perfectly.
We hear you
Okay.
loud and clear, David.
Yes,
Good,
perfect.
good. And I can't get my video to work, but
David.
I actually work in the legislative space as part of a benefits consulting firm in the pharmacy space. I'm based in North Carolina.
Wow.
The quick answer is I asked about Statescape because that is a software program that I use for tracking emerging legislation of all types.
Oh yeah.
So I could, that's something I'm familiar with. In North Carolina, I don't know the priorities, and I really would like to know what are sort of the biggest areas of need. So that's what I would focus on.
Carolina.
Yeah.
North
Yeah.
Carolina. Got it. So we're right now, David, using something called Bill Track 50, which is probably not as sophisticated as Statescape, but similar. So I'll send it to you. You can take a look since you're familiar with this kind of stuff.
Well, and I guess what I'm offering up is I might be able, to use Statescape as I have access to it for the purposes of this group. Definitely. Yeah.
That would be amazing because those
Yeah.
tools can be expensive. So anything that we
Yeah.
can get our hands on, we want to.
Yeah.
Jamie, you've been waiting for a long time.
Oh, that's okay. Hi, I'm Jamie. I'm from Connecticut.
Jamie.
I have a 17-year-old son with profound autism, but I'm also a public school art teacher. So I have two things that I hope will be discussed is innovative housing options.
Yeah.
And the teacher side of me needs to share that support staff in our state need to be able to earn a living wage. So we're attracting qualified people because I can't tell you on my day-to-day basis working how challenging that is in really supporting my students with profound autism in general settings. So those two things.
I've always wondered too. I feel like I've met so many parents from so many states who they just end up homeschooling because they don't feel like their loved ones with profound autism are safe at school, or it's just not worth it, So I think that's really a tendency just because like the staff is not equipped, to work with them. It's just I've heard so much over the last few days about FAPE, and I'm like, oh my God, like how many of our loved ones actually ever get a free and appropriate public education? Like it's rare, I feel like. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, well, this has been so energizing. Thank you guys for hanging in there and for sharing your ideas. I put you on the spot. Your homework is to definitely find out.
I don't do this shit.
Uh-oh. That sounds like my husband. Is to find out when the deadline is for your bill filing in your state, if you don't know already. And then also too, so some of you were talking, and we've got trainings coming up between now and the first week of January, but if there are things going on in your state right now and we need to take action and we need to activate people in your state to send messages or just inform them about what's going on, please email me, because we can send out action alerts that are state specific, get people moving and grooving, talking to their legislators. We have the ability to do that with voter voice. So don't wait, like feel free. If you feel like you want to get people taking action on something that's happening now, you don't have to wait for all these trainings to be over. So I will send out this recording to everyone and the slides. And then I'm also going to send you the links to register for the upcoming trainings. Make sure you register for each one. And then that way you can participate, or you can just view the recording later. But I hope you can come and participate, because I love talking to you guys. Thank you for being here today and for just putting your money where your mouth is and doing what you can to advocate in your state. If we all do it, we can really make a difference. We already have, and we've got so much more to do. So thank you guys.
All right, thank you.
Soon.
Thank you so much for having us, Judith.
Great. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
When is the next?
Have
When
a
is the
great
next?
Halloween, everybody.
When is the next
Happy Halloween.
when is the next meeting, guys? Anybody know?
The next one